Welcome to the Rumor Show. I'm Julio Flores, and today's show, as always, some great rumors. Of course, Dwight Howard. Where is he going? The latest rumor now is the Lakers. Talk about that coming up. Jeremy Lin going to the Rockets, or will he be staying in New York? We'll find out about that. And the Lewis Free Report on Penn State. I'm Julio Flores, along with my producer, Rudy Campos. Good morning, Rudy. How's everything going with you?
I am doing fantastic. How about yourself, Julio?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
This report, and I'm glad I didn't print this thing out because it's 267 pages. It cost $6.5 million, an 8-month investigation into one of the biggest scandals in college sports. But lo and behold, we basically find out in a nutshell. We don't even really have to read all this. But basically, Joe Pa and the administrators, the head of Penn State, basically covered this up for, 10, 14 years, whatever it was there. And that's the whole sad part about it. And many people are basically calling that maybe Penn State should not even be allowed to have a football program anymore. Some people feel Joe Pa's statue should be torn down. There's a big deal about that. We'll talk about that coming up later on in the show as well. But and then to go ahead and find out as well that Joe Pa was given a $3 million career bonus if he retired at the end of the 2011 season. He had about $250,000 in outstanding debt being forgiven, and the family was able to have access to their box for 25 years. And also there's an additional $100,000 loan that Joe Pa had as well, I presume, toward the college that he was loaned that money. And he was so for him to walk away, that's a big walk away.
He got a nice little payoff from walking away from a scandal that he created. Okay, last time we were here, I told you that everybody from the president to McQuarrie to everybody needed to share in the blame for Sandusky. Well, now I am going to take a shot at a legend because this legend, allegedly turned a blind eye to what was going on. He knew for 12 years what was going on, and yet this guy is still thought of as a hero at Penn State. Open your eyes, people. This guy knew what was going on, and yet he failed. He failed the community, and he failed these children. All right? He wants to be known as a great person. That is fantastic. He helped a lot of people. But let's look at who he's helped. All right? We take all that in. We go, fantastic. Now let's look at who he didn't help. The 12 or so children who got molested. Not only were they molested by this sick degenerate that he called a friend, but they were molested on the campus of Penn State. And to read that Penn State is going to continue to have this guy's statue on their campus is disgusting to me. Look, everybody knows it. LeVar Arrington, former player, he read this and said he was disgusted. He didn't know Joe Pa like he thought he did. Bobby Bowden says this statue should come down. I agree with Bobby Bowden 100%. Doesn't matter how many people he helped for 40 years he coached. Look back and see those children that were made into victims. Look back at all these kids who are going to have problems growing up and think about how Joe Pa let these kids down.
In regards to the statue, of course, there's differing opinions. Some of the trustees feel, hey, it should be torn down right away because of the free report and what has occurred there. Others say, well, let's go ahead and wait a few months and then see what's going to happen because maybe we'll feel different. Because when you see the sign on the back of the statue, it says educator, coach, humanitarian. And we're not saying that Joe Pa didn't inspire a lot of students. He didn't inspire a lot of football players to continue and do well in their career if that's what they chose to do. But when you go ahead and are rocked by such a huge scandal, I mean, the scandal is so huge to the extent that people are calling basically for the football program to end completely at Penn State and for it never to even come back. which is sad in essence for any innocent students who are part of this program that are just trying to get a good education. But, I mean, when a person goes to prison and someone is either molesting or raping children, I mean, they are treated extremely badly in prison. I mean, even the criminals are looking down upon you because of what you did.
You know what? I agree with you. They want to kill the football program. Now, before I would say yes, kill the football program. But now that I think about it, you're going to punish these kids who come in, they want an education, and they can do it through athletic endeavors, so they get a scholarship. I take back everything I said. Let them have their football program, but the football program has got, and I mean has got to distance themselves from anything Joe Pa, from anything Jerry Sandusky. They need to wipe that all clean. I don't care if Joe Pa by hand built that stadium and they name it Joe Pa Stadium. They need to wipe his name off of that completely. They need to distance themselves away from the stench that his name and Sandusky brings. Now, you also have to remember, Sandusky is the same guy, and if I read this correctly, he still doesn't believe he did anything wrong. He wants to be let out in general population with the rest of the criminals in jail. Last time I was here, I told you what they do to people like him in jail.
Oh, yeah.
Let them have him. You know what? For his own safety, let them have him. Then he doesn't have to worry about being, done in the jail. He doesn't worry about getting stabbed. They'll just do him in the jail, on the yard, and then it'll be all over.
Well, just that concept of him saying that he would rather be with the general population tells me to an extent that he, even in his mind, thinks he isn't really guilty of that it really was no big deal. And I presume so if a person lives that kind of lifestyle. We've heard of people that are, for instance, murderers. Somehow they kill a number of people and it becomes not a big deal. It becomes like an everyday occurrence. I'm starting to think that maybe he's really not feeling bad about anything he's done. And that, for that very reason, they should really erase a lot of the Joe Pa institution there at Penn State. Let me liken this to something else. When a person goes ahead and kills somebody, and we are watching the news, and they interview all the neighbors around, and they say, "Hey, did you know so-and-so? Yeah, he was such a nice guy. I'd see him take his kids out and they go play baseball. I heard he was, he worked with some charities.
He was always quiet.
Yeah, and he always helped people." So it doesn't matter. When that person killed someone, they go ahead and they go to trial and they serve for what crime they did. And it does, in essence, erase everything you did because of what you did in order to hurt somebody else. So what I'm saying here, these trustees and these individuals who were involved in covering this up are responsible just the same as Jerry Sandusky. Because what's that about when you're going ahead and some friends are robbing a bank and you're the guy driving the car? Well, you're aiding and abetting. So you're just as guilty as they are. And you may not have actually committed the crime, but you're guilty as well of being involved.
How are they not on trial themselves? That's my question. I understand why Joe Pa's not there, but how are these other people not on trial as well? How come nobody brings them to justice for knowing what was going on, for covering up what was going on? Isn't that like child endangerment? Don't you think? I mean, I would like to certainly think it was. If they know children are being raped on their campus by one of their alleged recruiting coaches, I would want to know why they're not being brought to trial as well.
Well, hopefully they will be. I don't think this is really the end. This free-up report, it really exposes a lot of people, and I'm amazed that, in essence, Penn State is the one that condoned this report, and it's surprising that they didn't go ahead and try to manipulate it in some way in order to make themselves not look as bad.
Doesn't this always go back to show you that no matter what you think of a person, when it comes out, we really don't know a lot of these people. Everybody thought Joe Pa was this fun, adorable, nice old man who coached football, only to come to find out that he allowed his friend and assistant coach rape children. I mean, even when you think the best people in the world are the best people in the world, you always find a way that they kick you right in the balls. I mean, even Tressel. Remember Tressel? Everybody thought that this guy was a politician. He was clean slate. And then you find out all this dirt about him, and he gets kicked out. Well, Joe Pa's the same way. In fact, he's worse because he let children get raped in the Penn State athletic showers. All right? So all you guys who think Joe Pa is getting the raw end of the deal, read the report. He knew what was going on, and he allowed it to happen. And then to benefit off of this, and he did benefit because the payoff for him to retire was supposed to be $1 million. Instead, he got $3 million. To me, you get an extra $2 million. That's a benefit. And you basically are one of the worst persons I know.
You know, it's interesting. One of the reasons why the officials say they were not going ahead and saying anything about this situation is because they said they didn't want it to look bad. Well, the reality is, let's consider this like if you had some disease or something like that and some type of infection, let's say cancer, for instance. What they will usually do is cut out that cancer because it's infectious to your body. And wherever they're cutting it out, they're doing that so it doesn't spread to other places. So when they found out about Jerry Sandusky, why didn't they just consider that an infection and go, we're going to go ahead and get rid of this bad person? Because the reality is not everything's perfect. Every once in a while there's a bad apple. Cut out the bad apple. We took care of business. It's concentrated in this area. We're going to go ahead and make amends to whoever was involved. But to go ahead and cover it up, it's like not cutting out the cancer. And then it's spread everywhere, all throughout the whole campus. I mean, who knows who else might have known about this? And sometimes your silence in reality is condoning something. And that's why sometimes we do have to speak out and be able to say something to go ahead and fix things.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This guy should have been wiped out of anything Penn State. He should not have been allowed anywhere near the campus. And again, for all those who knew, that it's always worse. The scandal is always going to be made worse when it's found out instead of you telling the truth. Had you had just gotten everything done in 99 when they found out, 98, something like that, everything would have been done. But instead, you guys chose to cover it up, and now you've put your whole athletic department on blast and in danger of being wiped out because of stupidity. Look, no offense to you and all those people who made that decision, but you made it because you did not want Penn State to get a bad reputation. Look at you now. Are you going to tell me your reputation is sparkling clean? Nobody is going to be willing to touch you with a 10-foot pole. No coach is going to go there and coach at all because they're not going to be able to win. They're not going to be able to pull in any recruits, which you're going to need to win. You're not going to make money. So you guys did yourself a huge disservice. You got rid of the big moneymaker on campus. And now what are you guys left with? A tarnished legacy of a legend and plenty of lawsuits to come.
Yeah, and again, taking this down to what a personal situation. For instance, when a person is a sex offender, they get listed on this list, and sometimes you can even go on the internet and find out what sexual offenders live in your neighborhood. For instance, if you go ahead and let's say someone does this quite young in their life, unfortunately, according to the law, they're always a sex offender, all right, for the rest of their life. So it doesn't matter technically what they do. So again, the reasoning that Penn State uses that we were trying to protect ourselves, well, there's things you just got to say. I mean, I don't know why they even thought this was cool. I mean, for instance, I'm sure that on campus, if women got raped, they would have reported that. But for some reason, because it was a guy raping another guy, that this was different? No. If someone got murdered on campus, would they hide that? No, they would have told the police. Someone got murdered on campus.
You know what? I would say yes, but I'm going to point out the fact that it was covered up because of who was involved and who knew. You're talking about Joe Pa. You're talking about Sandusky. if Sandusky killed somebody on campus, I would like to think they would tell anybody. But going by what I see now, can we honestly and seriously think that they might tell the cops that he did it? I mean, I'm thinking they might have covered that up too.
And who knows? Even though the free report is this long, 427 pages, could there even been more that Joe Pa took to the grave that we don't even know what might have occurred? And two, I would think it's kind of embarrassing for a young kid to say this happened to him. There could be other people involved that never have come forward because it's just like, there's so much press about this, so much limelight about it. I just don't want to get involved. This happened, and I guess I would think it's weird for a guy, too, for this to happen because people always think rape is a thing that happens, men doing it to women. And for this to happen opposite, it's like when they're talking about like some schools where a teacher has gone ahead and ended up having sex with a student. And when it's a guy, a girl teacher doing it to the guy, it's like, oh, how cool. But if it was a guy teacher doing it to a young teenage girl, it's like, hey, this is awful, you know? So maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. It's just, it doesn't really make sense. It's not logical. But as we said, we hope that the people that are involved will get prosecuted. And the sad thing is, when these type of things happen to young people, this is something that tarnishes them, that affects their mind and the things they do and their relationship with other people for the rest of their life. And there's nothing you could do about that.
I want to see all these sick people who were so adamant about backing Joe Pa. I mean, I don't want anybody to think that I'm just on here to smash Joe Pa, because that's really not the case. The case is the guy's a legend. The case is he has a tarnished legacy now because of what he did. Now, was he a great football coach? Yes. Did he help many students get through and make it to the NFL? Yes. But again, I say step back. Don't look at who he helped. Look who he didn't help. And Joe Pa is just as guilty as Sandusky in my eyes. But all these people who wanted to say, all you guys who talk about Sandusky and Joe Pa, you guys don't know what you're talking about. These guys are straightforward. Now what are you going to say? Where are those people who were giving death threats to all these kids who are going to come out and let everybody know that Jerry Sandusky was a sexual predator and he was raping little boys? Where are all these people now? You cretins, come out of the woodworks. You came out to defend everybody, and now you disappeared when the news comes out that everybody knew. You guys are the biggest cowards in the world. And I hope one day when you have a kid that maybe for some God unknown reason, your kid stays safe, because you're going to have a different tune if this happened to your kid. Instead, you turn around and you want to levy death threats against people who are coming out. You guys are sick, and you guys need to be wiped off the face of the earth. In my mind, I mean, you guys are just pathetic. You guys want to threaten children.
It's the Rumor Show. I'm Julio Flores. Going to come back in a moment with your calls at 1-800-1-RUMOR. That's RUMOR. I'm going to come back with a story about Wes Welker. Will he stay a Patriot? Eric Gordon? Where has Eric Gordon become such a wanted player? He was a Clipper at one time. We'll talk about that coming up here on the Rumor Show. And Kevin Garnett staying a Celtic. That's all coming up on the Rumor Show.
Baby, let me. I did it again, so I'm gonna let go. Oh my, baby, let me love you. There's so many ways to love you. Maybe I can break you down.
Welcome to the Rumor Show, where we're taking your calls at 1-800-1-RUMOR. We'll get you on to talk about whatever you'd like to, or some of the stuff we're talking about. For instance, the Patriots trying to come to terms with Wes Welker. Looks like Monday 4 p.m. Eastern time is the deadline for the franchise tag players, and it does not look like they're going to be coming to terms. Some of the details regarding that basically is if they don't go ahead and come to terms, Welker will get $9.5 million fully guaranteed deal, which he's already signed. And then they would finalize an extension until 2012, and then he can become a unrestricted free agent. One of the problems, though, regarding the salary cap, and this has always been tough since the salary cap's been around, Brady's at about $22 million. You add Welker stuff, and you're actually having 25% of the salary cap for 2 players. And is Wes Welker worth it? Well, yes, he's worth it. But I'm always concerned when it comes to football, and you're playing as hard as you do, how many years do you really have left?
If I was Wes Welker, I would not go back to the Patriots. Let's not forget that Wes Welker was the receiver who dropped the ball, and then Brady's wife, Giselle, decided to talk smack about, saying that Brady can't catch the ball as well. Now, if I was Wes Welker, I would write it in a contract that I get to punch Giselle in the face. I mean, it's only fair, right? If she's going to smash him, he should get to smash her. And, or maybe here, you know, see, now this one would be something that would be right up my alley. And if I was him, I would have it written in my contract. But me and Brady are going out into the back and we're going to scrap. Just for what his wife said. Because you know what? Keep your wife in line, Brady. Just because you're Tom Brady and she's Giselle doesn't mean she gets to open her mouth. She's Brazilian. She doesn't know what real football is. Her thing is she wants to watch soccer. Nobody gives a rat's ass about soccer, only third world countries. So she needs to shut her mouth and be the arm candy that she's meant to be and keep her mouth closed about your teammates, because nothing is more distracting and team crushing than somebody's prized wife opening her mouth about something she doesn't know.
Well, here's the funny part about this whole thing. I can think of family gatherings when Bunchin's family comes to visit. And they're all probably into soccer, like you're saying. And they go, Tom, when are you going to get a real job? Playing real football. When are you going to be a man? And Tom just smiles, tries to be nice, because they're actually saying this all in Portuguese. He just doesn't know.
Or they're just bad-mouthing him for being what he is, a white guy who plays a sport they don't understand or care to understand or have any physical or monetary benefits to their country.
Let's move on to the story about the Lakers. Now, we've all known the Lakers have been wanting Dwight Howard. I mean, they were trying to get him since they were trying to get Chris Paul. Well, as time goes on, teams come and go, but the latest rumor is that Dwight would go to the Lakers, Andrew Bynum to the Cavs, and the Magic would get picks and prospects from both those teams. Sounds like a good deal? Well, of course. Will it happen? That's the question. Now, I don't know how these rumors get out, and I for one, if I was a Magic fan, I would be upset, because if Dwight doesn't really want to play for them anymore, well, then just go. I mean, that's the way Lakers fans felt when Kobe was saying, you know what? I want to go play with some real players. Well, just go. If you don't want to be here anymore, I'm not going to force you to be around. It's kind of like a guy who has to beg a girl to stay with him. No, forget it. Hit the road. But can you imagine Kobe, Dwight, and Steve Nash all in the same court? Now you're definitely going to see the Heat and the Lakers in the NBA Finals if that would happen.
Well, you have to remember Paul Gasol is still going to be there technically. And what option is he going to be? Is he going to be happy being the fourth option on that team? Because it's going to be Kobe, Dwight, Nash, and then Paul Gasol. And has anybody made the worst business decision as Dwight Howard? I mean, this guy, everybody thought this guy was a friendly, good-going guy, and nobody's reputation has taken quite the hit that young Dwight Howard has taken in the past year. Now, let's go through the timeline. He says he doesn't know if he's going to sign an extension.
Woo, woo, woo.
All right?
I'm going through the time,
Hooray.
by the way.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Like
Hot
Wayne's
Tub Time
World.
Machine. There you go. So he says he doesn't know if he's going to sign an extension. They look to trade him. Then he says, you know what? I will stay here. I will invoke my clause where I stay one extra year. They don't make the playoffs. Then he starts spouting off and pouting and then tries to get his coach fired. To which his coach, Stan Van Gundy at the time, acknowledged. Now, he's trying to muscle his way over to New Jersey, or Brooklyn, whatever the hell the Nets want to be called. All right?
New Jersey.
Nets don't want him. Nets have pulled out of trade talks. They don't want him. Orlando's asking way too much for him. Fine. So now you're stuck with who? The Lakers or the Rockets? The two teams who want him the most. And now you're talking about you really don't want to go to the Lakers because you want to be the man? Let me let you in on a little secret, genius. Kobe is not going to play another 10 years. Maybe Kobe plays another 3, to which you become the man by default. Now you are the man of one of the most respected NBA teams ever. And you can't see that. You can't see you can't see past the fact that you might have to play second fiddle for 3 years. I mean, I know you put on those little hipster glasses and try to look intelligent, but every time you open your mouth and everything I see you do speaks to the opposite. You are not intelligent, okay? You could have Steve Nash. You could have Kobe Bryant. You could have Paul Gasol as your teammates, and you can win 2 championships, but yet you would much rather be the man. I hate to tell you, but we rule greatness on titles, not how many times you were the man on your own team. You need to wise up, genius, because you're going to talk your way right out of the league.
So this was a letter to my beloved Dwight? Is that
is to D12, yes, D12.
Got it. You know, with Ray Allen going to the Heat, I mean, he's going to have to play the 4th man. So why not Gasol playing the 4th man? And again, it's all about winning a championship. When the opposition goes ahead and puts that much power up against you, you got to do the same thing. And the Lakers realize, hey, you know what? We lost to the Thunder. The Thunder's a great team. They're a great young team, but they don't technically have the experience as the Lakers did. And that's what they really needed to figure out. Going ahead and try to get past these teams, because this could happen every year from now on if they didn't make some changes on the court, the Lakers. Another team trying to make some changes. The Hornets have matched the Suns' 4-year, $58 million offer to Eric Gordon, keeping the restricted free agent in New Orleans for the time. And basically the management there in New Orleans said, we really want to go ahead and build a team around Eric Gordon. And this is great, for him at least, because I never think of Eric Gordon as being a great player.
He's a cornerstone player?
He's a good player. But the interesting facts about Gordon, let me give you some stats. 9 games last season because of the bruised right knee. Had some minor surgery. He did average a team-high 20.6 points. And New Orleans was 6-3 when he played during those 9 games. 4 seasons in the NBA, Gordon never averaged fewer than the 16 points per game he scored as a rookie. And his 3rd season, he had 56 games with the Clippers, and he averaged about 22 points. So, I mean, that's still good numbers in essence, but still plagued by injuries. And would that continue even with the Hornets? I think it's hard. I mean, I think of this as like building a team around Andrew Bynum, someone who we've known has always had a lot of injuries, and you're trying to go ahead and build that team. That means you're really hurting, for one. I mean, I know they lost Chris Paul, so they're just trying to work with what they got. But 4 years, $58 million to a player who isn't on the court all the time due to injuries, and I understand you get injuries, it's not your fault. But if you're not going to be able to play, and this is a history of it happening, you might not want to give a guy that much money.
Okay, you've read off his stats, and you understand that he's a good player. But is he a franchise-type player? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, on a team that didn't have any stars on the Clippers, did anybody pay to go see Eric Gordon on the court? No. Did anybody pay to see him go onto the court this year? I don't think so. Is he like a Kevin Durant? Is he like a LeBron James? Is he like a Kobe Bryant? The answer is no, and astoundingly no. So is this guy worth the money? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. However, if you are the Nolans Hornets and you already don't have any players, I guess you're going to have to spend your money somewhere. I don't know if I would give it all to Eric Gordon, but they got to pay somebody to stick around. And to be honest with you, he's only doing it because he wants the money. There is nobody going to the Phoenix Suns over Nolans, okay? I don't care where it's at. Phoenix is hot. Phoenix doesn't have any players as well. So what is he going? He's going from one bad team to another. So it's not for winning. I know he's not going there for winning. So he's going there because he wants the most money possible, and he got it. So now he'll be happy.
Another team just trying to keep their pieces together. The Boston Celtics, Garnett has gone ahead. He's going to be coming back. Also, the Celtics have said Brandon Bass will be coming back, and center forward Chris Wilcox has resigned.
By the way, you do realize Brandon Bass is Ben Maller's best friend, right?
Yes.
Okay, just made that sure.
And they still haven't signed Jason Terry yet. So the Celtics still have a lot of work. I mean, the big three were only going to last so long. And they were getting older. The Celtics knew it was time to move on. But I'm happy that they could continue with Garnett. He's been averaging about 15 points a game. And they can. I mean, there are players that say, oh, Kevin Garnett is staying with the team. I'd be willing to come over.
Too bad it wasn't Ray Allen, to be honest with you. Right? Kevin Garnett is a good player. He is serviceable. He is getting to the point of his career where he's not going to be looked upon as one of the top two options. Let's just say that. You still have Rondo. And with the way Brandon Bass was playing in the playoffs, I look for him to get an expanded role on that team because what he lacks in talent, and he is plenty talented, but what he lacks in talent, he makes up for in drive, effort, and sweat. I mean, this guy plays as hard as you can get with the talent he has. And that's very impressive because not a lot of these guys do that nowadays.
Going to come back here on the Rumor Show, taking your calls at 1-800-1-RUMOR, R-U-M-O-R. Got some stories coming up. Blake Griffin, not going to be the Olympics? Find out about that. It seems that the Blazers front office having a hard time getting someone to take that home head coaching job. And also, we'll talk about Jeremy Lin and that offer sheet possibly going to the Rockets. That's all coming up on the Rumor Show.
I came to dance, 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 dance. I hit the floor cause that's my plans, 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 plans. I'm wearing all my favorite brands, 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 brands. Give me some space for both my hands, 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 hands.
Red one.
It's the Rumor Show. I'm Julio Flores, and we're going to take your calls at 1-800-1-RUMOR. That's R-U-M-O-R. And, the big story we talked about last segment was about Dwight Howard coming to the Lakers, and it'd be great for any Lakers fans. Jeff is calling from Los Angeles, big Laker fan. Hello, Jeff. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks, especially after hearing about this Dwight Howard possible trade here.
Yeah, it's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of things that have to get moved. Basically, the Cavaliers may get Bynum. The Lakers get Howard, and the Magic will get picks and prospects, whoever they choose from both rosters and whoever might be upcoming and that kind of stuff. So, so you've been a longtime Laker fan?
Yeah, certainly, man. Going back to the Forum days, of course. But so the Lakers would be able to get Dwight Howard and just for Bynum? Is that what I hear?
No, basically, for Bynum, but they're also going to have to give up some draft picks as well.
Okay, well, I think whatever it would take, I think it'd be a good move for them. Even if they haven't had, a first-round draft pick in like 5 years already. So, and what's another 5 years if they can get Dwight Howard?
What were your feelings when you heard the Lakers got Nash?
I was pretty happy. I think it's certainly an upgrade at the point guard position now at 38. You know, I'm worried about. I know he's been healthy so far in his career, but you know he's going to start getting injured sometime. But I think it was a good move that they could make to make the team better right now. So if they could get Nash and then land Howard, man, how good would that be for next season?
Oh, it's going to be awesome. I mean, you have a contender team to really go up against the Heat, because with the Heat, with all those players, with Bosh and Wade and LeBron, and then you got Ray Allen as a fourth player. We were just talking about I can't remember. Gasol,
Paul
Gasol being the fourth man as well. So it's going to be if it happens. You know, every week we've been getting a bunch of trade rumors in regarding this. And thank you, Jeff, for the call, by the way. And it's going to be amazing if this can actually pull off. I'm just predicting a great season for the Lakers if they can pull this off. But again, you have the situation which happened in Miami last season where you had all these A-list players who were all used to having their own team and getting the ball, and they were having trouble getting along.
Yeah, I mean, the Nash deal does make them a viable contender. However, I am still afraid to actually say they're a championship team. Andrew Bynum shows up when he feels like it, right? And I have a huge problem with this because you're 7'2". Even when you don't feel like it, you should be easily scoring 18 points. Instead, when you don't feel like showing up, I see a line of 6 points and 2.5 rebounds per game. How are you 7 foot and only averaging 6 points and 2.2 rebounds a game? I don't understand it. You're 7'2", and you get paid a lot of money. You don't have to love it, but you better damn well show up, because people get tired of watching you scrape people for money that you don't deserve.
You know, I think a lot of times what happens, too, when players are surrounded by a lot of other good players, they kind of think they can take the night off. You know, Kobe never felt that way. He always had great games because he was willing to hog the ball. No matter what.
Kobe never has a night off because he never passes the damn ball. If he would actually learn to trust his teammates, he wouldn't have to work so hard. Look, Michael Jordan gave him the perfect blueprint. Jordan came into the league. He became the quintessential example of run and gun. All right? Then he realized he can't defeat a team of 5 by himself. So he started to rely on teammates. He started to play a little bit of defense, and then he became what a lot of people think is the greatest player in all of basketball history. Kobe has yet to trust his team, and the couple years that he did, they won championships. He needs to go back to trusting his teammates. Other than that, I mean, if it wasn't for those 2 years and Shaq helping him win his first 3, Kobe Bryant's nothing but a taller version of Allen Iverson. I mean, at least Allen Iverson had an excuse. He was 5'11", playing in a big man game, but he played defense and he shot the ball a lot. Kobe Bryant is 6'8", playing in a big man's league, plays a little bit of defense and shoots a lot. Again, if it wasn't for the years that he trusted his teammates and Shaq for his first 3 championships, you take that all away and you look at the careers, and I'm telling you, Kobe is nothing but a taller version of Allen Iverson. So he needs to pay attention to what he's doing, learn from Michael Jordan, and start sharing the ball if he wants to win any more championships.
Another story we have coming out of Houston and New York is Jeremy Lin. Now, for this player, what's interesting is I had friends who are Chinese who aren't into basketball. All of a sudden, Lin fever. They're all into basketball. And I'm like, wow. And the interesting thing is that here, the Rockets are offering him a 3-year deal worth about $25 million, an offer sheet. And the irony of it all is they actually had him in training camp last December. They put him on waivers. The Knicks picked him up. So this is, in a sense, to me, a little bit of an embarrassment. Here you could have had a player, and you're like, yeah, we've got too many people who play that same position. I understand that. But here you're going to try to throw them a bunch of money. For me personally, if somebody threw me away and now they want me back and they're trying to throw some money my way in order to get my attention, I don't want that. It's like going back to an ex-girlfriend. It usually doesn't work because there was always a reason why you broke up in the first place. Now, New York has 3 days to be able to match that offer. And Mike Woodson says Lynn will absolutely return. Now, they got Jason Kidd, who's 39, who apparently just got arrested.
Yes.
We'll talk about that story in a moment. From free agency, he's looking forward to mentoring Lynn, and Woodson says that Lynn will be a starter entering training camp.
So, wait a minute. They signed Jason Kidd to sit on the bench?
Apparently.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, here's my question, right? Now, well, I want to start off first with all your Asian friends.
Yes.
Did they not hear about Yao Ming? Did they not understand that Yao Ming was Chinese as well?
Apparently not.
Okay.
I don't remember them saying anything about that.
I just wanted to make sure that I heard you correctly.
It's so funny because I went to a club to see a band play. It's a mutual friend of ours, and I had a friend who's Asian, and she was all excited. Well, I'm not talking about guys. I'm talking actually primarily probably females who probably wouldn't normally be into basketball, but they're all excited. This is so incredible. I don't know. I think they manufacture certain basketball players in China.
Oh, no. You know what it is. It's the whole nationalism thing.
Yeah.
But back to Jeremy Lin. Okay, so the Rockets get rid of him, right? New York picks him up. This is the timeline. New York picks him up. He's sitting on a couch for much of the year.
I've never heard you use this word so much in a show. Timeline?
Yeah.
Is this something to do with Facebook?
Yeah, something like that.
Timeline?
Facebook.
I hate timeline.
Exactly.
I don't have it.
So he goes and he sits on the bench. Their point guard gets injured. He comes off, and he lights up the world for 2.5 weeks. Let's be honest, 2.5 weeks. This guy played spectacular. Mike D'Antoni gets fired or walks away, whatever you want to call it. And then he goes back to being Jeremy Lin. The Jeremy Lin that got let go by the Houston Rockets. The same Jeremy Lin who was sitting on the couch for much of the basketball season. Now he's a free agent and he's going back to Houston, which, by the way, if people in Houston are listening, this is why your team sucks. You let him go to begin with. He has 2.5 weeks, and you throw him $8-something million a year for 3 years.
25.
This is okay. $25 million for 3 years. So that breaks down to $8.3 million a year.
Yep.
This is why your team sucks. You don't know how to spend your money. You don't know when you have talent, and you don't even know if this guy is a talent. Anybody can run and gun in Mike D'Antoni's system. I think I can light up the league for 2.5 weeks in Mike D'Antoni's system. I can run and score 10 points in that system because you don't have to defend, and you sure as hell don't have to rebound. So all you do is take the ball up and shoot. All right, fantastic.
Well, here's a little trouble with the something in the bicycle hoops. Felton is returning to the Knicks.
No, he's not returning. They traded for him.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And see, now you're going to tell me that Jeremy Lin is going to be a starter over Jason Kidd and Ray Felton?
Yahoo Sports Report Saturday reported that. And here's the problem with that offer sheet from Houston. Now, the Knicks have gone ahead and said, we're going to match anything that they come up with. But the third year of that contract is actually for $15 million.
Yeah, it's a poison pill is what it is basically what it breaks down to be. So
Felton averaging about 17 points. And during that 2.5 week run, Lin was averaging about 16.4 points.
Yeah. See?
So, you're still getting a better player, one with a lot of history. And you don't know, like I say, it's the same thing. People can go ahead and have a nice little run for a couple of weeks, but can they do it for a whole season? Can they do it for a career? Felton, I believe, has already proven himself. So now they don't even need to go on technically an unproven commodity, which technically Lynn is, because granted he got a lot of hoopla and a lot of press. And Felton didn't, it's not like, oh, look at Felton, he's so incredible. It's because he was consistent. When a player is consistent, he's not going to get the fanfare. When it's like the Bad News Bear movies, those kids sucked. They played Little League Baseball, and then all of a sudden they did well, and then they got some press. Of course, the Little League team that did well the whole time didn't get any press. I've heard of the Bad News Bears, and I've heard of Jeremy Lin, but I haven't heard of Felton that much.
Right. And you know what? Again, I say he ran D'Antoni's system to a T, and he got a lot of credit for it. But you notice, even with injury and all, he didn't do as well under Mike Woodson's system. And that's where you actually have to play defense. You actually have to play both ends. Can Jeremy Lin do it? I don't know. However, I do know he's not worth $8.3 million a year for 3 years. I know that for a damn fact.
And would the Rockets go ahead and use him for those 2 years? Because they get him basically for $5 million for 1 and 2. And then the third year, try to trade him off and someone else pick that stuff up. But no, usually that never works out well anyway, because what happens, they end up trading a player before he becomes released out of his contract, and they end up picking part of the money just to get rid of him and move him a little bit.
Yeah, he's not worth it. I wouldn't give it to him, but then again, that's why Houston is Houston, and they're not the Lakers.
Let's move on to another story. Let's do some NFL. Drew Brees, 5-year contract worth $100 million with $60 million of it guaranteed. The deal's also going to pay Drew Brees $40 million the first year. And really, when it really comes down to it, the money that's guaranteed is what you really want to talk about, because that's really what, when it comes down to the NFL, it's all kind of a nice little hash of baked goods when it comes to the other money. But this is great for New Orleans, because it's still, you have this city who still hurts. And again, I always say sports is not going to heal any wounds from Hurricane Katrina because of poverty and all this type of stuff. But it's nice to kind of keep some good things at home. Like I know the Hornets would have loved to have kept Chris Paul. And I just thought of Chris Paul as being synonymous with that team. So it's so weird to see him somewhere else now. But for Drew Brees to stay there, and this is a lot of money to keep him in town. Is it worth that much to keep him there? We'll see.
In a simple word, yes. Now, we just talked about Jeremy Lin not being worth $8.3 million. But you look at this deal, it breaks down to, 5 years for $100 million. That's $20 million a year. First 2 years, he's guaranteed his $60 million. For what he did for not only that team, but that city, that state, after Hurricane Katrina, is he worth it? You're damn right he is. And I tell you why. He helped solidify and galvanize that whole state itself. This guy was able to take everybody's mind off of Hurricane Katrina and all the tragedy so they could feel good for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? And all because he played football. Is he worth it? Yes. Is he worth $125 million to that state? Yes. Is he worth it to anybody else? Probably not. But again, you have to look past what he does on the field and what he helped do with that state and those people out there. This guy made them feel good again. Not only did he help them feel good again, but let's be honest, when it came to New Orleans Saints, did anybody ever remember when these guys were champions? No? You know why? Because they never were champions. This guy made them into champions. This guy came in, he solidified that team, and he led the Aints. And I said the Aints because that's what they were called. He led the New Orleans Aints to a championship. Now, the only thing I can think of along the lines of being that big is when the Angels won the World Series. Now, remember, for the longest time, Gene Autry tried to get this team to win, and they couldn't do it. Then they finally won, and everybody was feeling good. Now, New Orleans, they have Hurricane Katrina, everything happens, he makes him feel good. Is he worth the money? You're damn right he is. You're damn Skippy. He is worth every penny for that state.
And he might not have gotten the same kind of money from any other team. I don't think any other team would consider his value because, as you pointed out, it's not just his actions there on the field. And I'm not aware of what he might do in town or things he may represent or charities or just going around and, just having, I don't know, sort of like an icon that people kind of look up to, that everything's going to be okay. And granted, again, I say football doesn't cure everyone's ills. But to go ahead and just have him there, that we are a success in something. That's what I'm thinking of. A success in something. Hey, we're having a hard time just going day by day, but we're successful and we can take pride in something that our city represents.
Right, and that's why he is so big in that community. For 3 hours, they knew that with Drew Brees on the field, they're winners. For those 3 hours they watched him play, they knew they were winners. That's why he is worth it to that community. That's why he's worth it to that state. That's why he gets that money. He is worth every penny as long as he is in New Orleans.
There's word that T.O. might come back to the Cowboys. There's some talk about this. He was released by the Indoor Football League team in late May. Somehow he had some type of deal where he was part owner. It's kind of weird, but apparently the payout was quite small. I don't really get it, but he partnered with his longtime agent Drew Rosenhaus in June, and we know T.O. had a great career. So they went around and they asked people like Jason Witten and Des Bryant what they thought about possibly T.O. coming back as the number 3 receiver. And they were good about not really saying anything. They're like, I'm kind of out of it. I'm not really involved. I don't know what to really say about that. Or, they just kind of took a down the middle of the road type situation. But one of the issues with T.O. right now is that he may actually go to jail for failing to pay $20,000 in child support. Melanie Page Smith, the mother of Owen's 7-year-old daughter, has said he hasn't made any payments in months. Basically, he's supposed to owe $5,000 a month. And obviously, if you're go ahead and you're not working, you can go to court and tell the judge, hey, you know what? I'm not making as much money. This is based on what I used to make. So he's got to go to a hearing on July 19th. So
have you ever seen a bigger waste of talent than T.O.? This guy. Okay, now let me put this into perspective. Earlier in the show, we talked about how Dwight Howard didn't want to be the man and play second fiddle to Kobe Bryant. How is T.O., the ultimate in ego, gonna sit there and actually say, you know what, I'll play third fiddle to Des Bryant and Jason Witten? I don't see that happening. And on top of that, I want to feel bad for him, but I just can't. Stupidity does not get rewarded. And let me tell you this. If you are part owner of a team, how do you get cut? If you own half the team or part of the team, how do you get cut?
Exactly.
Let me ask you, is his skill so bad now that he can't even be a part of the team he partially owns? And Jerry Jones wants to bring this guy in? Now, does he not realize why people look at the Cowboys and just laugh? I mean, what happened to the days when the Cowboys were America's team? They're no longer America's team. They're like the punchline to a bad joke. T.O., hey, I don't want to hear it anymore. Jerry Jones is a great owner, but he needs to let football people do football decisions for the football team. Either be the GM or don't be the GM. But don't play puppeteer. Don't be like Al Davis and sit in your ivory tower, pull strings, and then when it doesn't work, blame somebody else. Because I don't really want to see it anymore. And you're making America's team America's irrelevancy. All right? Stay away. Let people do their jobs or fire them all and do the jobs yourself. Either way, you need to do something different because you're only making America's team America's laughing stock.
I was surprised when they did pick up T.O. the first time because you knew T.O. had that baggage, and he did go ahead. And you know what's funny, though? He wasn't as bad as he was. I don't know if he got a good conversation with Jerry Jones or what happened. I mean, he was a little more mild than he was. But still, it wasn't enough for them to keep him. And almost kind of embarrassing to go to the indoor football league, And
then fail on a team you own? Yeah, that's kind of pathetic.
Yeah, really ridiculous. Quick notes before we get out of this segment. Just want to let you know Blake Griffin will not be doing the Olympics, needs surgery to repair a torn cartilage in his left knee. Anthony Davis will be filling in for him on the U.S. basketball team's roster.
Yes, the unibrow. I'm all for it.
And it's amazing how nobody seems to want the head coaching job in Portland. Jerry Sloan, nah, don't want that. Phil Jackson, nah, I'm okay. Which is funny because we talked about this last week where Phil living in Montana, Portland's kind of close. I don't know if it had to do with money or what.
It doesn't have to do with money. It has to do with the hierarchy on that team. The way they did Maurice Cheeks, nobody with any self-respect is going to go work for that environment. All right, nobody wants to work for for a team that has their microscope on you every single move you do, and if it fails, threaten to fire you. No self-respecting head coach is going to go through that.
Now the word is Patrick Ewing is going to interview next.
Not if he actually enjoys coaching. If he enjoys coaching, he'll stay and wait for his opportunity to come, not go to Portland.
So if you want to be coach of the Portland Trailblazers, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-1-RUMOR. I'm going to take a break because I'm, for some reason, having trouble talking. I'm Julio Flores, coming back in a moment here on The Rumor Show.
Yeah, just waking up in the morning and to be well. Quite honest with you, I ain't really sleep well. You ever feel like your train of thought's been derailed? That's when you press on, lean in. Half the population just waiting to see me fail. Yeah, right, you better off trying to freeze.
Welcome to The Rumor Show. I'm Julio Flores, and boy, getting a lot of text hits regarding T.O. possibly going back to the Cowboys. Phil from Chicago, stupidest move the Cowboys could ever make. I will never watch a Cowboy game again. Wow.
He's from Chicago. How many Dallas Cowboys fans how many Dallas games does he watch?
George in San Francisco. Julio, I know you're a major league Cowboy fan, but do you really think T.O. is going to help your team? The answer, no. He's not going to help my team. I don't think he's going to go ahead and come back to the Cowboys. I think he's created the own press release all on his own. That's what I think.
No way. T.O. really playing to the media? No. That is not his style at all.
And during the break, our intern Shannon talking about how are you a part owner and you actually get kicked out of your own team? Because if you're a part owner, can't you just hire yourself back when you get canned? Technically, it's true.
You would think, right? But again, are your skills that diminished you can't even make the team that you own?
Well, my producer, Rudy, itching to talk about this story. I mean, he was basically texting me, emailing me, calling all week long. We got to talk about this. As the story got older, I was not that excited about it anymore. But we had some people call, and they're waiting on the line to talk about this as well. So I thought, all right, well, let's talk about it. You go ahead and introduce it, Rudy, for us.
Okay, now, you being a diehard Laker fan, a big Kobe Bryant fan.
Yep.
He was in the media this week talking about how his dream team, the 2012 dream team, can defeat the 1992 version and the original dream team. Now, I understand Kobe Bryant is one of the most competitive guys in the world, and God forbid I say he's wrong, but by God, he's wrong. Does he not realize who is on that team? Does he not realize that even though he may, and I use that word loosely, may be the second coming of Michael Jordan, that LeBron James would get scorched by Magic Johnson? Dwayne Wade would not be able to check John Stockton. And I know for a fact that Anthony Davis, being 7'1", would not be able to hold down Patrick Ewing or David Robinson or maybe even Karl Malone for that fact. Now, do they have great players on this year's Dream Team? Yes. Am I impressed?
Would be a dream team if it wasn't.
Exactly, right? Are they impressive? Yes. But are you going to beat a team with 11 Hall of Famers on it? I highly doubt it. And I'm sure Michael Jordan laughed at this statement, by the way, saying that's not one of Kobe's brightest things he's ever said. It wasn't one of the smartest things he's ever said, and I tend to agree with him. Now, I open it up to you callers. Callers, you let me know what side of the fence you're on. I believe Michael Jordan would have torn Kobe up. But I always like to leave it up to the listeners to feel free to give their opinions on it, just so I know how wrong they are.
Well, one thing that Kobe Bryant forgets, I mean, we look at the legends from before, and we look at them as if they are today. So you're like, how can these 40, 50-year-old men beat the Dream Team today? That's not what we're saying. We're basically saying, hey, when those players were in their prime, and you'll never know, and the only way you can do is by playing video games, pitting certain teams against another team, that kind of stuff. They did this with boxing. How would Muhammad Ali
do against Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah, or Tyson or whatever, that kind of stuff. And that's not 100% either. So let's go to the phones, and you give us a call at 1-800-1-RUMOR. Let's go to Kevin in San Diego. Kevin, what's your thoughts on Kobe Bryant ripping on the 92 Dream Team?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you something. I'm not from San Diego. I live here now, but I'm from Revere, Mass. Okay, I want to tell you something about the Dream Team there. Okay, you had you guys like Patrick Ewing. Granted, he was a Knick, but he was still a part of the Dream Team. And I do like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was great. I think he's the greatest basketball player ever. And coming from the Revere, Mass area, that's where I'm from originally, I saw the greats like Russell and also the Seth Sanders and all you guys there. And all the guys that was on the team that was a member of the Boston Celtics there. Back when Arnold Red Auerbach was coaching the team there. But as far as what Kobe's statement is, it's a bunch of bunk. I mean, come on. Hey, the 92 Dream Team was great. They had Jordan. They had Ewing. They had the guy, the mailman.
They had Bird.
All these other guys there. And there's no comparison. These young punks today, like Kobe Bryant. I mean, what the hell? You going to believe a man that had an affair with a woman in Colorado, and all of a sudden he buys his wife a $4 million ring, and just to say, I'm sorry, honey?
Kevin, I don't know if him buying a ring and committing adultery has anything to do with his basketball playing.
He begged the woman to come back to him, but the guy, okay, I granted he's a great player and everything, but he doesn't have the same caliber of the Dream Team that they had back in 1992. I mean, come on, give me a break here.
So you're thinking Kobe's basically full of it?
Yes, he is. He's full of it. He's a great player, but the problem is, why the hell did he change his number from 8 to 24? I mean, I can't figure that out. And it's because, did he want to change his identity? I mean, come on. Give me a break here. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, he just keep his mouth shut and do his endorsements or whatever he's got to do and just play in the Dream Team and just keep his mouth shut. So therefore, if he does cheat on his wife again, like he did back in the past in Colorado, therefore, if she was an $8 million ring, he's got an $8 million ring to give her.
This
The Dream Team back there, I think, in my opinion, is much better than 1992 as opposed to today.
Yeah, you know what? And I agree with you, sir. That is very, very, very astute by you. I appreciate this. Just shows me that we have some of the smartest listeners and some of the smartest callers on all of our radio affiliates. See, you see, these people know what they're talking about. Why? Because they come to us.
Exactly what I'm talking about here. You know, and like I said, I just want to add one more thing. You know, back in the day when I saw Russell and Chamberlain, granted he was our rivalry, but these guys played hard. They really did. I mean, I'm talking about back in the garden years ago when we had no freaking, what they call it, the cooling system here. Those guys in the garden knew exactly what to do. They played the playoffs in June, the Final Four in June. Okay, so therefore, my old Boston Celtics guys, God bless them all, and they played hard, and they knew how to win. Yeah. So they got air conditioning at this new theaters now, what they call the Staples Arena, whatever the hell they play at. They got air conditioning and everything. They don't know how to stay. You know, they got stamina, but back my Celtics had stamina. They knew how to beat the hell out of these guys here.
Right.
And, you know, like Russell and all these guys and what have you, in fact, you have to realize Boston was the best as far as having the sixth man. We started that. A lot of people don't know that. And the first sixth man was Frank Ramsey. Okay? So, as far as the dream team, I think the 60s Boston Celtics was the greatest dream team ever. But you know what? Things are different now in our situation when we got here. So, therefore, I want to say one thing. The 1992 game, the 1992 team, I was very impressed with. And they had stamina. They had heart. They had a lot of heart.
All right, Kevin, appreciate the call, buddy. Thanks for calling. Diehard Celtics fan. You know, it's great.
You think?
It's great how
Baston.
I don't understand why so many people from back east get transplanted to the West Coast. Because, you know, when I start hanging out with a guy like that, I start talking like him, you know?
It's
and
the
I
weather,
can't
baby.
I can't help it.
It's the weather. You know that.
A lot of our great callers there on WEEI in Boston. And I'm happy you guys got Garnett. I don't know if it's going to really be the season for you guys unless you pick up some more things.
It won't amount to anything, but you know what? Nice attempt. Nice attempt at trying to rebuild the Boston legacy. However, like I said, we always do have the smartest and greatest callers, don't we?
Yes. And we're going to come back with more of you for the rest of the show. We're going to just do calls at 1-800-1-RUMOR. That's RUMOR. It's The Rumor Show. I'm Julio Flores.
Let's go. Make no excuses now. I'm talking here and now. I'm talking here and now. Let's go. Your time is running.